Hey everybody, this is Panfurware LLC, and let that sink in with Alessia Mathis. Hey everybody, again, this is Panfurware LLC. Welcome, Alessia. We'll get to you in just a moment. My name is Eric Ziegler. I am a sync licensing agent for Panfurware LLC. I take the library that we have and the songs that we have with our artists, and I find them a home. I try to coordinate with music supervisors and producers and showrunners, and try to find the music that we have a home. So, let's get to the guest of the evening. I'll kind of continue this as we go along until Anthony can get in here and get his audio situation situated. Alessia, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, hi, nice to meet you all. Kind of. So my name, is Alessia, and I'm Swiss originally, but I live in London for now 3 years. I'm a singer-songwriter and pianist, and I mainly perform pop music, pop disco, but I also write loads of other music for other artists and just for myself. Yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, just ask me.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, you're and tell us a little bit, because we have, I believe we do have a song, we're gonna play later. We do have a song called "You Make Me Feel" that we're gonna play a little bit later. But kind of tell us about, or tell me how you kind of came into contact with us initially.
In first place, I think it was in LinkedIn that I got in contact with Anthony, and I sent him my EP, my debut EP that came out in November 2021, and he listened to it prior release, and he really liked "You Make Me Feel," and therefore he's like, he'd like to represent or publish on his site "You Make Me Feel." And that's it.
Okay, and kind of, let's kind of start from actually the actual beginning. Talk to us about your musical upbringing. Talk to us about how you got into, where it all started and how you got into the music industry.
Yeah, so when I was 5 years old, I started playing the piano, and I was taught 10 years classical piano. And already with 7 years old, I started composing music, and that's where basically my parents and my family realized that I might be talented to write or compose music. My cousin, he's a film music producer here in London too, for Spitfire Audio. Therefore, he was always an idol to look up on, because he was doing his own music as well all the time. And then after I, unfortunately, with 15 years old, I got my wrists inflamed because I was practicing too much classical pieces. And I needed to take a step back from playing the piano and just literally start all over again with the right technique, sitting right, and that made me to decide to start over with jazz music again instead of going step back in classical music, because it was just easier for me to read new music, because classical music and jazz music is just kind of a complete different world. So I studied then jazz music in Switzerland on piano for 4 years, on 3 years on a college. And then basically, as it came to an end of this college, whereas I needed to prepare myself for the exams to get into studies, my piano teacher was like, okay, maybe you have to find a school that supports your own music more than playing jazz, where everybody played that before, the same song, just on their own improvisation. So I'm so grateful that this piano teacher said that to me, because I was kind of in this loop of just playing and practicing jazz music and go for it. But he was like, I think you'd be better off writing your own music and like go for it, because you have that talent. And unfortunately, in Switzerland, there is no such thing to study or to get support in like songwriting or literally get a degree in it. So I then did decide to go to London to do a bachelor on songwriting, whereas at the moment I'm writing my bachelor work to it. And I started writing and composing in such a young age that it kind of came all together. I mean, after my first English class, I tried to write English lyrics, which was a bit funny if I read it back now. But so basically my first kind of full written song was when I was like 14 years old. Ever since did it more serious, and worked to my EP last year.
Wow. Wow, that's so, and it's kind of something I wanted to touch on. When you were going from, like, because I believe you said you started with classical, and then you went. Were there any parts of your classical training that kind of went into when you started learning more contemporary or jazz piano? Were there any parts of like the classical that helped when you were learning like jazz piano?
Yeah, definitely. Because the sight reading of classical music, I was kind of on a high level to do this. So to read classical music or melodies and stuff, definitely had an advantage already there. And also the flexibility of finger play. And there's actually a video on YouTube if you want to check it out, when I was like 14 or something. My favorite composer is Frédéric Chopin. So I tend to play a lot of music by him. So obviously the whole like finger like movement in playing like scales or playing like fast improvisation definitely had an advantage from it, and took it into jazz music.
You said Frédéric Chopin. Is that who you're talking about? Yeah.
Frédéric Chopin. Yeah.
That's one. Yeah. I also, because I play a bit of piano as well, and that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite composers. He's such emotion and power in the music that he writes.
Yeah.
But okay, so when going from piano to other instruments, though, were there also any kind of things that kind of transitioned over, like when you were starting with piano and then you maybe tried out other instruments, whether it was vocals or anything else? Was there anything from piano that you kind of were able to take lessons from piano and kind of use it when you're playing other instruments?
I mean, I think playing the piano is such a basic to understand in general music theory and kind of understand where everything is based upon. I started then obviously getting as well, like taking singing lessons. I think I took a few years singing lessons in Switzerland, but in these years that I've been in England, I think just singing a lot more has taught me so much. And I had a phase where I started playing the guitar because I thought it's cool, but that was like when I was like 12 years old or so. But I left that then back, and I play a bit of bass. I think just to understand, obviously, because the piano I play the bass in my left hand as well, gives you definitely an understanding of how to play bass lines, or vice versa, playing bass lines that you hear on the piano to a piece that you may accompany to singing. So, yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that definitely answers it. Thank you. And I mean, regardless of like what you consider your main instrument, what actually is your favorite instrument to play?
Yeah, the piano, definitely. Yeah.
And what is it about like that instrument that makes it your favorite?
Of course, a difficult question, but of course, it was here. It's like my friend, the piano was there with me my whole life, and we had some arguments as well, and then we got along together again. But it's just, for me, playing the piano is just relaxation, also inspiration, and yeah, you can play rhythm, you can play melodies, you can write chords, you can do anything with a piano. So yeah, that's why I love it.
Yeah, no, that's very true because my main instrument is guitar. I've been playing guitar forever, and when I took piano, it really expanded like the way that I look at music in general. The way that I like my guitar playing got better when I started playing piano.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, if you understand a bit more about theory, because it's a bit easier to look on, I guess, rather than the strings.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Not only that, but I mean, it helps with your understanding of music theory, like the way I don't know, just something about the way that piano is just it helps you understand the fundamentals of like, okay, this is if you need to, for instance, if you're going to be studying more advanced jazz chords, like a G flat 13 sharp 7, like, or something like that. It helps you understand it better on piano, at least for me, than it does trying to learn that chord on guitar. And then what I can do is I can then go and play it on guitar once I learned it on piano first, even though piano isn't really my main instrument.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a little bit about Frédéric Chopin, but can you talk about who are some of like your other like influences?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I have different influences for these different aspects of my music. So, in terms of performance, let's say, is Dolly Parton. I feel like she's done so amazing performances, and yeah, definitely looking up to that in terms of performing. In terms of, it's always such a difficult question, but in terms of music in general, or how I would like to it's difficult. I don't want to sound like them, but I get inspired to take this kind of vibe they go for, like Kylie Minogue and ABBA. So this kind of like a bit retro, like 80s music, and it's happy, it's upbeat. In terms of vocal performance, and in the modern age, I look up to Sigrid from Norway, as well. The people band that just mentioned, ABBA, Sigrid, and Kylie Minogue, they're all not British or American, which is also why I think they're fantastic. They made it in the Western industry, and yeah, they're a big inspirational channel for me.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely, Dolly Parton, of course, is amazing. I definitely enjoy, I will admit I enjoy ABBA. Some people cannot stand ABBA. But you know what? There are a few songs, and I'm like, okay, this is good music. You got to recognize talent for talent.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point because I think that's something not a lot of people talk about. is how difficult and how rare it is to get to a point where you're not in the West, you're not in uh, uh, the UK or America, but your songs get so big that it becomes impossible to ignore it in America. Like it's not a lot of people talk about how rare that is to be an artist that gets so big that, like, regardless of where you are in the world, it's gonna be playing number one in America. That I think takes a lot, a lot of it's rare, and it takes a lot of talent. But yeah, those are kind of like your influences from different perspectives. I wanted to talk also about kind of like the when it comes to your songwriting, and specifically with your songwriting and balancing other hobbies. Like you write you have your songwriting, but then you also have the of course other things in life. How do you kind of balance your songwriting with with the rest of your life? How do you find that balance?
Yeah, I mean, I need to laugh. I don't think I have anything in my life. No, I mean, I do like to travel, and luckily I just went on tour last week, where I can kind of combine traveling with playing music, and it allows me to see cities that I've never been before. But I mean, songwriting, if for me, it's like, even, if I'm traveling in a tube, or if I'm on the way to meet a friend or something, my mind is just consistent analyzing, or like looking at things that kind of inspire me then to write. And I have this like note on my phone where all the notes go into, that I, for example, see something that I like to write about, or I try to use all my senses quite a lot. What do I feel, smell, or how something tastes, and try to implement this into songs. Or also, I mean, when I'm writing, when I see something, for example, just sometimes there are lines coming up. Obviously, you have to write them down, so you're not going to forget them again. But I mean, I think songwriting is my main thing in my life. I think whatever I do, it's kind of still hiding around the corner. So yeah, but I don't think it's a bad thing, because sometimes it also happens that you may have a few days where you feel uninspired, where you're happy to back up on these notes you did on these dates where you felt extremely inspired. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's because I think there's certainly there's always going to be a time in your life, as a songwriter, where you're going to be in a rut. You're going to be you're going to feel uninspired to write. And you're not coming up with any ideas lately. So maybe it's that's why it is good to, like, get out and travel. It's good to, like, almost in a it's almost contradictory, but one of the best things you can do as an artist to kind of keep your creative flow going is to not think about music, is to not, like, in a weird way, like, to not think about music and just go out and do something entirely different.
Yeah.
Like, go out and travel, go learn how to cook something, learn how to cook a unique, like, dish, like, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I love swimming in general. I like to go for a swim, or if I could do it more often, I love surfing as well. Anything with water on the beach or something just energizes me a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's actually something I've always wanted to learn how to surf.
Yeah.
I'm actually in Los Angeles now, and I should take the opportunity while I'm here to learn how to surf, but I've it's always it's always been a goal of mine to do that. Um, yeah, so I kind of want to go a little bit into kind of on that when you're writing or you're performing, do you ever experience like stress or anxiety, and how do you kind of deal with that?
Um, I did feel a lot of anxieties and stress when I was younger, as I was struggling with kind of, how do you say, exam anxieties, where I would completely black out and when I needed to prove, for example, writing an assignment on time, and or writing or playing the piano in front of an audience, that I would completely black out and I couldn't enjoy it. So therefore, I went through stages in a young age where I was asking myself if I really want to do this, because I can't enjoy playing for people, but I wanted to be a musician, and it kind of didn't work. So, but I happily did find a solution, and I treat myself through a hypnosis therapy, and it sounds very strange, I know, but it's not how you would think of how hypnosis works. It's, you're still in control of your body, but just it's kind of, it does it does work on your subconscious. So yeah, so it's just basically building up in like securities again back on, that you're aware, or also of also the subconscious is aware that you don't have to be stressed out about this situation. So when I now write or perform, I have no anxieties. I'm just like enjoying it like crazy. When I go on stage, is especially with my band, it's an energy I can't even put into words, that I am completely it's like being on a drug for like few minutes. Just you go on, and it kind of stays on this highness. It's like it's there for like a few hours after the gig, and then you come down and you're like, wow, that was such a trip, you know. And I love it. When I write, I do feel not, I mean, not stressed, but sometimes, of course, you feel like you've written like a very good song. Can you ever write another good song? But then you write another good song, and you're like, okay, I'm still able to write these good songs. But I think there's just a tiny second of struggle, even in my mind, because I work a lot on positivity, and I work a lot of mindfulness and control of my mind, kind of, that I don't let negativity and this kind of anxieties in my head. So I think that's a really big part. But the only thing that I'm just like stressing out more than like the music part is just that I'm really impatient for like anything about in life, but especially music. Industry needs patience, and it needs time to grow and to blossom. So sometimes I feel like I wish I could be a bit more relaxed in terms of just like, okay, easy, it will work out anyway. I know that will go right, but it's just sometimes I'm a bit also unsatisfied that it's not happening as fast as I would like, you know, if that makes sense. So this is definitely like sometimes feeling a bit stressed about this, but then I find myself again, like calm myself down, okay, and then I go on.
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, that's that is very true, and it you know, because that happens on our side as well. You know, it when we're waiting for like a placement, you know, to hear back about the success of a placement. You know, having that anxiety, to know like whether landed it or not, and the impatience can really be something that's hard to overcome. And I think everybody feels that. I think everybody feels that kind of unsettling, that kind of like impatience especially in this industry, because I think we hear so many stories of success. We hear so many like stories of this person got a placement, and then they get a nice big check for for the song that they landed in a commercial or something. People hear these and it makes them really excited, and it's hard to not get excited about something that that's your baby, something that you created, the song that you wrote, being shown to a mass amount of people. It's hard to not get excited about that. But this is an industry where it takes a it can take a long time. It can take a long time to get to see the results. You need to have control. You need to have patience.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And kind of going into that, have you experienced any placements? And when I do say placements, I'm talking, anything on the radio or anything in a commercial, TV, any kind of media. Have you experienced any kind of placement in media or radio?
Yeah. So just is it 2 weeks, 1 week ago, I was on a cover of a German magazine actually, which was amazing to see. I mean, that was my first cover, and it was quite intense. And then just a few radio plays all over kind of the world, of independent radios. And one of my new songs actually, I don't think you've ever heard it. I'm not going to release it anytime soon, because I'd like to release with a label in the future, not independently anymore. So this song was played on the BBC radio, introducing here in the UK, which was amazing, because it's kind of tough to get through there and get heard. But I was very happy, because that might be a good chance for industry people to find me over here,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's really awesome. And actually, I can't believe I didn't ask this before. I meant to ask this beforehand, but what what PRO are you with? What performance rights organization are you currently with?
Yeah, I'm with the English one. Literally just forgot the name. PRS.
Oh, you're with PRS. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I think they're UK, but and you're based originally out of, is it Switzerland? Is it Sweden? Switzerland?
Switzerland. Yeah. I mean, I'm
Switzerland.
Swiss. Yeah, but I'm based in London, and obviously like that's where my main market is. So that's why I'm with PRS, not the Swiss one.
That makes sense. Out of curiosity, do you know if Switzerland do they have PROs, or are they?
Oh yeah, they have. It's called Suiza, and yeah, I mean it's like any other PRO, but yeah.
No, that's fascinating, because I think we get I've heard of PRS before, but outside of like the United States and outside of the UK, I don't really deal with PROs that often, that are outside of the two main countries for that. So I'm always excited. I'm always curious and excited to hear about different about what companies are in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. So now that you're kind of in this world, you're getting into this world. What is something that you wish you knew when you first started, that you wish you knew now? What is something that you wish you knew that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yeah, I mean, You know, when I first released my first single independently, I was working with he's actually Swedish producer. Oh, he's based in Sweden, but he used to produce for a lot of artists in the US and like was working in the US. So obviously it was my kind of first relationship with someone English, that I was talking all the time English. So he also gave me lots of books that I needed to read in order to work with him, to understand the music business, not just write music and like everything is fine. No, there's so much behind it, and I really, really appreciate it. But the fact is that when I was looking into Spotify and uploading it, everybody talks about Spotify for artists. Like, how the fuck do I get Spotify for artists? After like, I don't know how long, I could not find an answer really, that you can only get Spotify for artists after you release the first song. So that's the thing that I keep on advising my friends when they release the first single, because they think about, oh yeah, Spotify for artists, I need to get an account. But no one really says like you have to literally wait until the first song is out and then you can register. So that was the thing I wish I would have understood a bit better.
Yeah, and I think that's something that can be a common mistake. I think that there are a lot of common mistakes just like that people that artists make when they're first getting into the industry. I think it's better these days. I think it's better these days than 30 years ago or something, because we have the internet and we have tons of people who are, and there's actually books on it now. Like 30 years ago, there weren't websites or YouTube videos or books on how to get into the industry, and then now we're starting to see that. But even now, like there's still plenty of artists who like you're going to make a mistake at some point when you're first starting out, and even when you're you've been doing it for a while. But the important thing is to keep going. The important thing is to say, okay, I made a mistake. How do I fix it, and how do I keep moving forward?
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely a very important point. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's see. And what getting in, kind of going off of that, getting into this industry, what skills do you think are the most important for an artist to have?
It's really an interesting question, because as I said, I'm just literally at the moment finishing my bachelor work, and I've been interviewing kind of a few high profile A&Rs over here, and they speak about this multidiscipline talents nowadays, what they're looking for, because it's not just the artist that has to sing well, or has to be a good songwriter. Of course, they look for the music first, and then, but they look about what else is here. Are they just a good songwriter, but they're nothing to sell? Maybe they're not interesting to sell. So I think nowadays it's more important than ever than it was, to bring this kind of full package in a way that songwriting is decent, of vocals, and performance wise there's already quite a bit there, and of course like behind the scenes as well, everything kind of has to work, because if someone is just very disorganized, it's not going to work. Like, people just get annoyed, they don't want to work with someone that is disorganized or unpunctual or something. So I think that is really important, as well as understanding the financial part of things, or the business side of things, how to make money. If I'm going to invest money, let's say in merchandise or in vinyl prints, which I did myself. I did 70 vinyls for the Sugar EP, and obviously to understand this, because if you can do it yourself and you understand yourself as an artist, and whenever a bigger label comes in to kind of bring it to the next step, I think is so important to understand and also be a part of then future discussions, not just agreeing on something because the label says. I think it's not going to happen nowadays anymore, because people have a vision of how the industry works, whereas, let's say, in the 70s or 80s, it was not kind of clear where this is going. Everything with this kind of major labels, it was everything very new. So I think not just like having skills, just one skill or something is important. I think it's really important to be kind of having an idea of everything is really important. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree 100%. Arm yourself with knowledge, information, and yeah, very good point about organization as well. Like that's one that I don't hear too often, because I ask this question often, and I always get different answers, but I don't hear the organization one very often, and it's very important to be as an artist, to have everything in order, to have everything organized, and everything set, because even though like the results of this industry are slow, like we talked about before, like when you get a placement and you're waiting to see that check, that can take a long time. The industry is actually very fast. The results are slow, but the process is fast. This is actually a fast moving industry. And with that being said, especially for placement, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I want to put your song into this TV scene, but I need it in like 2 hours. You need to be able to provide that. Like, you need to be able to say, okay, let me grab that for you, and jump and send it off. And that's a little bit of hyperbole, but not much, because it really does move that fast sometimes. You need to be able to be quick about it, especially with like television, when your placement for television, because the television world moves fast, and the way that you do that, the way that you're successful at that, is through organization, is through having everything in a folder, or and also knowing your stuff, like having the knowledge behind it, to be able to make that successful. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's very much key. With anything really, if you know all these things, where it is and what, it's much easier in case something like that, like you mentioned, happens, where you got to send something off very quickly. It's easier also to see, let's say, your daily tasks, because you're a musician and artist, especially if you're doing that full time. It's kind of also self-discipline, to wake up in the morning and know what the task's saying for today. You could also just like hang out that day, because you don't really you don't have a shift to attend, and this is also where task organization, I think, is very much important. I don't see a lot of musicians, unfortunately, that are organized. Maybe it's my Swiss way and my Swiss DNA that I have, that is kind of very organized, and I feel stressed if it's not. But definitely, there are not many musicians or artists that are organized, unfortunately.
Well, I think there are. It's just they're at a higher level. Like, I think you'll find that when you get to a higher level, when you get to the artists who are already receiving placements and already seeing success, they are going to be organized, because you kind of have to.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Like at the beginning, maybe not so much. You should be organized. You should be collected and organized from the get-go. but not always possible, but you should strive for that. But I think when you get to that upper echelon, that higher level, you kind of have to be at that point.
Yeah, I think as well that's where obviously kind of the better artists, let's say, or the less good artists may separate their paths, because definitely, let's say any like big artist, big super hit, they have to kind of they have to kind of have an organization in life or in the career before they get that big, because otherwise they might forget important meetings, or they might forget some things. And if something like that happened, they would not be in that place. So I think definitely it will be, if you're the higher further in the career, it's a must.
Yeah, and I mean, I think at that point, like, you're gonna have, you're probably gonna have a manager. Or actually, that's actually a good question. Do you think do you think it's better to have a manager as an artist? Do you think it's better to have a manager, or to learn it yourself, and then kind of self manage yourself?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think because nowadays, again, because there's so many artists, it's really difficult for a manager to also get money in an early stage. So I think an artist managing themselves to a certain level is definitely really, really interesting to see, because you face problems and you find solutions, which is life. Finding solutions is important in anything. So, but the thing is just like, at some point you can't manage yourself anymore. So that's what I'm experiencing right now. And I literally found someone the other week that I felt the first time, I think this person is going to bring me further, because having a management is, in my eyes, it's someone that is close to you and does understand your dreams and needs, and working towards it. And I've worked with people that might not be as driven as me. So if I'm gonna have to push the manager further, like, what's the sense? Like, there's no sense for having a manager in my eyes. So I manage myself now quite a while, but unfortunately, with all this touring, contracts, receiving money, writing music, band managing, and everything, it's just that I see, okay, maybe it's better to have someone to do this stuff, because I'm investing more time in managing the project rather than writing, which is wrong. So I definitely think at some point it's just unavoidable to have a manager. It doesn't have to be a management, like a management company or manager. I mean, there are countable acts and stars that their dad or their moms were managing, just to kind of take on some business parts, which were too difficult for the artists. So I think it's definitely good to start off managing themselves, but after a while, if you see you manage more than you actually create music, I think it's time where maybe manager is helpful.
Yeah, I like that. At least have the knowledge yourself first, and then also when you get to that level where you need to, like, even like have your friend, have a very good trusted friend be a manager. Then you have expectations, because what you need better. If you once you do that, what you need. You've already taken those steps, and then you want somebody to kind of carry that torch. You don't want somebody to kind of like start it over. You want somebody to like carry that torch onwards, and kind of expound upon what you've already started and make it even better. Also, I wanted to say hi to Mia, Jeremiah, Greg, Anna. Welcome. We're kind of speaking here with Alessia. She's a Swiss artist. We're actually going to be listening to a song of hers very soon here. Anthony, I wanted to see if you could try and speak again, see how your audio is doing.
Mic check 2 1 2.
Ooh, you're sounding better. You're sounding better. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is amazing. Thanks, Alessia, for this. Eric, you holding it down. Me, I appreciate it being here. Please stay up on stage with me. We're gonna need your help soon. Eric, the iron's hot. Eric, keep going.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was going to pass it off to you, Anthony, and see if there's any questions that you had.
Oh, yeah. So, Lisa, yeah, thank you first of all for signing with us, co-publishing deal. You were one of our first international signings, and I love that song that we had signed. I like the way it's arranged, and I'm hearing that you are aware of chords and scales in the theory of music. Nowadays, not every musician is aware of that. Some musicians just go for the feel of it. So I love the fact that you are aware of music theory and that you use it. Um, I let's see. Do I have any other questions for you? So did we discuss at what age did you start, Alessia, playing music?
Yeah, I was 5 years old. Yeah.
And young, but that's most of the geniuses start young. What was that age again?
5. When I started playing the piano.
Yeah, yeah. That's like a child prodigy. Yeah, that's cool. And a lot of the people that are successful nowadays, even actors, you gotta be smart to memorize lines and emote the dialogue. And most actors graduate early. Did you graduate a regular school early also, Elisa? Alicia?
I mean, it's a bit different here and even to Switzerland. So I finished like mandatory school kind of when I was 15 years old, and after that I did like the pre-college thing at Jazz Uni in Switzerland, and then now I'm literally finishing my bachelor. So I think it's gonna be interesting in general, like after like how many years, 16, 17 years of education in my life, I'm gonna be finally free from May onwards.
Wow, that's cool. It sounds like you did complete those schooling earlier than usual, correct?
Maybe I don't know what age are you. I mean, to Switzerland, it's I think normal age to come out of school. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, American program different. Usually, you graduate around 17, 18, depends on when your birthday is in the year. So you graduate around 15. That's kind of early, but it tracks with your intelligence, and that's cool. All I got for now, Eric. Oh, and me. Do you have any questions?
Hey, yes, I do. Thank you so much. First of all, I've been really enjoying just listening to you. Such a wealth of knowledge. So thank you for sharing today. I did have a question. You did mention something earlier in regards to not releasing any music anymore as an independent or independently. I wanted to know, why did you make that decision and just what went into that? You mentioned that you're going to be releasing, you want to release something with a label now. And I just find it very interesting, and especially as an independent artist, why you made that decision. So if you can talk about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy. And yeah, thank you that you enjoyed what I was saying. Yeah, this decision I've made now, it took me quite a while to actually come to this conclusion, but I think, I mean, it doesn't have to be a major label, you know, just to be clear here, but I think it has to be the right, let's say, team and label. Let's say either it's the manager label or like a publishing label or whatever it is, that this whole kind of artistry goes in one bubble, because in terms of money wise for PR, obviously there's a lot behind it. And for me as an artist, I'm creating music now which I feel like the world needs to hear, and I think it's ready to be you know, be on the charts. But for me as an independent artist from Switzerland, being a female maybe as well might be still a bit difficult for people to catch through, you know, to go through this. Whereas if you have the right people behind who know more right people in the industry, I think it's just more worth for the music that I'm creating, because I don't want to create this good music and then put it out and then not the right amount of people will hear it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And then I had one more question. You've played so many different instruments, which is really amazing. And I know you mentioned that you had a time and period where you played guitar. I play the ukulele, and I have an electric and also an acoustic ukulele, a soprano. And so I was wondering how you made your decisions on the different instruments that you chose to play, and if you're looking to try anything else new in the future.
Oh, I love that question, Amy. You know, actually, it's not a normal way of choosing an instrument how I did it. So when I was like 3 years old, that a friend of my mom's, he said to my mom, maybe your daughter might be super gifted and you need to look that she's going to play an instrument, because it's good for talented people or kids. So she was like, yeah, but what instrument am I gonna, like, what instrument is she gonna learn? Like, there's so many. And because my mom, she's not a musician, my dad is not a musician, my grandma, she used to sing, actually yodel, if you know yodel. So it's like, they were like, what instrument would suit me. So I did an instrumental test. Actually, I did an exam of testing 36 different instruments with the age of 4, I think it was. And then basically a lot of instruments, like the drums I wanted to play and I was too small to start them, or the flute as well. So in the end it was the piano that was the best to kind of start in that age.
That's amazing. And, I'm sitting here like, wow, yeah. That is amazing. Like, really.
Oh, thank you.
Because I don't think people like really, like, especially when they're playing instruments. Like, I grew up in a family that's like band kids, you know? So my sister, she played the snare and she played cymbals, and I played the clarinet, and then I kind of stopped playing the clarinet, and, you know, but it's never, you know, left my thought process in regards to, you know, just playing instruments. But the fact that you did over 30 is just crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, there were even, I don't even know how this instrument is called. It's this like long horn that we have in Switzerland. Like, it's like, I don't know, 2 meters long or something. And in order to play that, you have to have like kind of a big volume in your chest to play it. So they were like really fascinated by it, that I was like just 4 years old playing this instrument, because apparently wouldn't even be physical doable, because my lungs were not big enough to have this much air to pressure the note. So it's crazy. But so I chose the piano, and to try out different instruments, I mean, I just like to experiment. And an instrument that I also like kind of started playing, not really a lot, but it's a saxophone, and I still would like to play the saxophone, but the learning process is a bit painful. But I just love a good saxophone, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. I mean, just so insightful. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a me, and I'm done speaking. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
me.
thank you so much for that. That's my mind is spinning now. I'm still
Yeah,
thinking about that. What, 36 instruments? That's a lot.
that's a lot. That is a lot, and at that young of an age. And Elisa, I'm glad you mentioned this. For some reason, I think because we was working through your management, I don't have you in our Slack group. We have over 80 songwriters in our Slack group, and that's usually where we really talk, the meat of things. And now that I know your goal, I can help you with that. I can help you look towards major labels, A&R, and things of that sort. So now that I know that that's what you're aspiring to, I will get the emails going and talk to my resources
You're
for major record
amazing.
labels.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
man.
was just thinking as well, because obviously Sugar and you make me feel that's done, and I'm very happy that I did the whole campaign myself, and it was kind of a COVID project as well. I had a lot of time spent on it, but I'd like to send you a few new songs if that's okay that we've been working on, because I think they're much better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And that's good. Labels nowadays, they're also better word for it. They're lazy, even the major ones, and they want to see the work that you did. So the work that you did, with Sugar and with You Make Me Feel, I think will impress them, and that should help them. And when they hear that you have more music that you held back
Mhm.
just for them, that'll make them feel special. So I think this is a very good idea. I like it. All right, Eric, you back on the podium?
All right, yeah, yeah, yeah. We look forward to speaking with you further, Alicia. But actually, um, I believe now, unless anybody had any other questions,
Oh wait, I'm
um,
sorry. Sorry.
yeah,
I wanted those listening down there. I want to thank Amy, for jumping in and give us some insightful questions. They were not playing these top of our head, and man, we are creating a great community of thinkers. And I want to thank Amy for joining in and helping out. Thank you.
So much, Anthony. I appreciate that. I'm glad I was able to jump in the conversation and really just have some new information that is astounding. So, thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. It was really amazing to hear.